Does that country have a good human rights record? How are we sure that if we send him to that country, he's not going to die? Does that country have a death penalty as a sentence? All those things are the things they will decide. Now, when they realize that this country does not practice democracy, this country does not have human rights, then that person will now have a case. The same person can even apply for refugee status, asylum status in that country. Now, the same country will not have the power or the right to extradite you, even though they have an agreement with that country, because now your life is at stake. Remember, you'll be represented in the same trial, in the same extradition proceeding trial by your own lawyer in that country. I'm trying to take you through the process of how these things works, so that when you hear all these lies, you can be able to defend yourself. You can be able to tell them they're talking rubbish. Because you see the zoo, all these educated illiterates. Oh, arrested, he was arrested. They never ask themselves question, how does this work? Can we actually arrest somebody in another country? They still have no power. They have no local standing in any court to arrest somebody. I'm just talking this thing in a sense. Let's assume Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a zoo citizen. Let's assume. That's the way I'm putting it now, before we get to the level of him being a British citizen. So, even if he's your citizen in the zoo, you have no right to go and arrest him in another country. Even if he's your citizen, you have no right. It's like I'm in South Africa. Nigerian government have no right to come here and arrest me at all. They have to go through the process. There is a rule that governs the universe. There is international laws and norms, conventions, agreement, bilateral agreement, and what have you. The world is not a banana republic. Everything is through process. A due diligence, a due process must be followed. I understand that the zoo is a zoo. There is no law. There is nothing works. But then the whole world operates on an insane law. So I cannot be arrested because I have a zoo passport. And then, assuming I have a zoo passport, I cannot be arrested by the zoo here in South Africa. They have to apply. And when they're applying, I'm relaxing. Nobody's going to touch me. They have to apply. And once the application has been approved, South African government will come for me. And when they come for me, they'll ask me to get my lawyer. I will get my own lawyer, a human rights lawyer, and we go to court here in South Africa. And if they win, then they will send me back to the zoo for trial. If I win, I will stay here still. This is how it works. It is all about human rights, because human rights must be protected at all costs, at any time, at any given time. You cannot allow state terrorism. You cannot allow state bully to bully a common man, an ordinary man, because they have the resources, the power muscle, the money to bully their ways around and do whatever they like. This is why these laws are there. So, as I was talking, so it has to go through the court in Kenya first. If they win, then of course, that person will be now extradited back to the zoo. If they lose the case, the person can choose to stay in Kenya and apply for asylum, because now he is running for his life. All right. I'm taking my time to elaborate because we need to have knowledge. Knowledge is very, very important, so that when you hear people talking about these things, even though you're not a lawyer, you should be able to add one or two words. Even if you don't even say a word, you will know that they're talking nonsense. But if you don't know these things that I'm talking this morning, when you hear them talking, oh, we arrested Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you will run around with it. When I heard this the first time, if you listen to my broadcast, my old broadcast I played this morning before I came on air, by that time, I haven't gotten the information of what happened. Now, the word I was using was abduction. Do you know why I was using abduction? Kanonta only came on air yesterday and spoke about how our leader was abducted. But before then, I've already used the word abduction. Do you know why I used it? Because I know law. I know you cannot arrest somebody in a different country that is not your country. It is only Kenyan government that have the right to arrest the person in their country. But when you say that the zoo police, zoo security, whatever, arrested, that is rubbish. That is junk. There is no such word in law. You don't have the local standing. You don't have the jurisdiction to go and arrest somebody in a different country. No, you don't. Why do you think people get Interpol involved? Because Interpol have an international warrant. Interpol, when they get to that country, they have to liaise with the local security outfit and do the arrest. The Interpol don't really do it themselves. They get the security of that country to do the arrest and then hand the person over to them because they cannot arrest a Kenyan citizen in Kenya. Even if you are Interpol, you cannot arrest any other citizen in a different country. You have to go through that country security and process. So that is it. Now you understand that our leader was not arrested. He was abducted because due process was not followed. If due process was followed, our leader wouldn't be in the zoo today. He will be back in Britain. That is number one. Remember, I'm talking about our leader, assuming he has the zoo passport. But now let's come back when our leader is a British citizen and he was in Kenya. Now listen to this. So basically what happened was this. You went to the airport, you bought a plane, and then you landed in a different country. When you got to that country, you know where people wait for the carousel to bring out their bags, their luggages. And people are picking their bag. When your own bag comes out, you say, okay, that's my bag. You pick it. And I hope you are listening to me. But now you are there in the airport, and then another person's bag comes out. It is not your bag. You went and take it. What were you doing? You are stealing. You are a thief. It is not your bag. It's somebody else's bag, but you took it. So what happened was this. Our leader was traveling with a British passport. He is a British citizen. He has no business with the zoo called Nigeria. He landed in Kenya. And then the zoo, in collusion with Kenyan authority, money exchange hand. And they abduct him because they know if we follow the due process, we will not be able to take Mazi Nnamdi Kanu back to the zoo. Because we have no jurisdiction whatsoever. We have no international local standing to take Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The only way to do it is through crooks and crannies, cut ways, And that is exactly what they did. They paid money and then they abducted our leader. No legal representative, no extradition order, just like our leader's attorney wrote here. He said there is no pending extradition proceedings standing against him in Britain or in Kenya. So on what ground under law was the zoo government entitled to abduct, to arrest, or whatever you may call it, our leader in Kenya? Absolutely none. Absolutely none. That is what they did. And trust me when I tell you, when it comes to law, before you even start a trial, I'm telling you how it works, in a developed world, a country where sanity rules, like South Africa here, sanity rules, my dear, sanity rules. That is why, even here in South Africa, you can actually arrest somebody who committed a crime. But because of how you mishandled the person, because of how you followed it up, which is contrary to the way they prescribed by Criminal Procedure Acts, that person will walk free. And people will be saying, oh, why did this person go free? Why did the court release him? No, we know him. This person is a thief. Why would you release him? This court is there. They have taken bribe. No, the court did not take bribe. It is called technicalities. The court look at the technicalities of that matter before they even talk about the case. It is called pre-trial. It is called a trial within a trial. I'm sorry if I'm messing up your head this morning with legal jargons, but just the way it is. It is called a trial within a trial, a pre-trial. What is a pre-trial? It is to determine the merit of the case. It is to determine if the state have a good case, to avoid wasting the state resources and the state time. Because this trial, they take time, they take money. So before the court goes into a big trial like this, they have to have a pre-trial conference whereby the accused person, the prosecutors, that's the state, and then the defense, which is for the accused, they will have a meeting sit around the table with the magistrate or the judge who will handle the case. And then the state will say what is their case. And then after they've said, then the defense will refute what they've said. Then the magistrate or the judge will not look and see, is there a prima facie evidence that if this case goes on trial, that the state will win? Or would it be a waste of time? And that is when now the defense brings in those technicalities we are talking about. All these things I've taught you now, the state will now push it straight to the judge. And the judge will look and say, you know what? I don't think we have a case here. But if they decided to go on, if they decide to go ahead, like in South Africa, that's what we call Section 174. Section 174 simply means the state will read out the charges against you. And when they read out the case against you, they will ask you, how do you plead? Then you will say, not guilty. Once you say not guilty, your lawyer will stand up and say, Your Worship, I confirm my appearance on behalf of this accused person. And I confirm that the instruction or the plea of not guilty is in accordance with my instruction. Your Honor, I want to apply for Section 174. What does it mean? It means under criminal procedure of South Africa that all this thing the state is talking is nonsense because of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Therefore, Your Worship, I apply that this case be struck off and the accused person declared free and to go home. Just like that. And then, of course, the magistrate will adjourn and come back and say it. I have seen the argument of the defense, and because it's an application, she have to respond back to that application before anything can happen again. She say, in terms of the application, in terms of where Section 174 of the Criminal Procedure Act, I hereby grant that application. Accused person, you are discharged and acquitted. Do you understand? It is called technicality. And this is what's supposed to happen in Abuja High Court on the 26th. If it is a place where rule of law operates, this is exactly what's supposed to happen. Technicality. You don't even need to get into the nitty-gritty of the case or the merit of the case because there is no prima facie evidence. There is no prima facie whatsoever that the state have a potential of winning that case. And you go on our when our leaders say that we are educated, people think, no, they are miscreants. Yeah, maybe educated miscreant. That's who we are. Most of us are engineers, doctors, lawyers, very educated people for that matter. Doing IPOB or freedom fighting does not mean that we are hooligans or, we are touts. No, people in IPOB are educated, my brother. We are in millions. If you can go through that millions, you will see doctors, engineers, lawyers, people who knows their right, people who knows how the world operates, people who knows how international law operates. All right. That is Law Lesson 101 to my own understanding. Then let's proceed in reading this article. There is no deportation order by any Kenyan court or other authority that made him subject to deportation. But if there was, the country of his deportation should have been Britain. Are you listening to this? So, since Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was in possession of British passport, and Kenya decided they want to deport him, they don't want him anymore in their country, they should not send him to the zoo called Nigeria. They should deport him back to Britain because that's what international law demands. Africa is still in the world, remember? We don't operate a different system here in Africa. We should be in sync. We should sync with the whole world when it comes to international law. Because here in South Africa, we practice even international law. We even practice British law. Sometimes we practice Roman Dutch law. So international law is involved in every developed country. So there is no business taking Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to Nigeria. No business whatsoever. He is in possession of a British passport. But if you are in doubt of that passport, all you need to do is to do what? Make a copy of his passport while he waits. Send it to the British High Commission in Kenya. They will go through their database. Once they confirm that this is their citizen, you will tell the zoo government, we can't do that. It is in violation of international law and as well as violation of this person's right, human right for that matter, if we allow you to take him, that means it is abduction against his will because he's not your citizen. We must continue. So, the country of his deportation should have been Britain, on which passport he was traveling. That is why, some people use fake passports sometimes to travel. I know people who will probably go to a Europe country. They were using another country's passport because that passport allows them to go into that country. Do you know what they do when you get to the point to that borders? They will take that passport from you. And listen to this. This is very interesting. They will take that. Please listen. This is very important. I know to some it might be a bit boring. To some it is an eye-opener. To some laymen who want to know a bit about what law is all about. Let's just call it Law 101 lesson this morning. I'm trying to give you a bit of understanding in case if you don't know how this thing works. But if you know, all good. So you travel to another country and you're in possession of a passport of a country that goes everywhere. Like South African passport goes everywhere. And then you go and do fake South African passport. And then you went to Israel because you know that South African passport is free visa to Israel. So when you get to Israel and they look at you and they say, no, but this guy, I don't think this guy is a South African. I think that passport is fake. You see now, that is an assumption. It is an assumption. So for the fact that they are assuming that it's not your passport doesn't mean that you are guilty already. Are you listening? You know what they will do? They will say, excuse me, sir, please sit there. We'll come back to you. They will put you, or they can even take you with them to the immigration office and put you there. They can even give you juice to drink, make you feel comfortable. Because you're not a criminal. You are still a suspect. Innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. They will put you there, ask you, what do you like to drink, sir? Coffee or tea, water or juice? Are you hungry? Can we offer you something to eat? Because they know they're going to waste your time through their verifications. And at the end of the day, you can even sue them for wasting your time and claim damages. That is why they're treating you very nice and fair. Because at that moment, you are still a suspect and not a criminal. Like in the zoo, where a suspect becomes a criminal before he even goes to court. So they put you there, they give you whatever it is that you want to have, and they take your passport, they make a photocopy, and then they send it to that country's, High Commission. If it is South African passport, they send it to South African High Commission and say, please, can you verify this document? Is this your document? Is this person your citizen? They look at the passports. It's a legit passport. Remember, when we say it's fake, it doesn't mean that it's a fake passport. It means that it's not your own. The name there is not your name. But the passport is okay. It's somebody's passport. But what happened is that they changed the picture and put yours. So they say, no, the passport is legit, it's our passport. But this name does not exist in our database. And when they look at that passport number, another name appears. Do you understand? Then they will respond back and say to Israeli authority, no, this person is fake. He is not the owner of this passport, but this is our passport. That's all Israeli authority need to know. Once they know that, they say, sorry, sir, come. They will sit you down. Gently, they will explain to you. They will not manhandle you. They say, sir, this passport is not your passport. And this is the proof. And then you will keep quiet because you know you have been caught. And then what would they do? Two things they can do. Listen. Now, this is where what I want you to understand from what I'm saying now, from this my long story. Two things they will do. Number one, they will check if you live in South Africa, if you are a resident of South Africa, if there's any proof that you are a resident, not because you are staying there, but do you have any document like ID, South African ID book, driver's license, something that shows that you are a permanent resident, or maybe you're on a temporary permit in South Africa. If you have such, they will say, okay, fine. Then they will ask you, which country do you come from? Then you will say, Nigeria, or any country for that matter. All right? Then they can even approach the Nigerian government and ask them, do you know if this is your citizen? They can put your name on their database if you provide them with information. And if the Nigerian government can establish that you are their citizen, now they have two choices and two options, and they will ask you. So, would you want us to deport you back to South Africa where you are a permanent residency? Or do you want us to deport you back to Nigeria? Now, you have two options because you're a Nigerian citizen and also you live in South Africa permanently. So now you choose, you make a choice. For the fact that you traveled from South Africa doesn't mean that they will take you back to South Africa. No, you have to establish that you are a South African or you live in South Africa. Because if they take you back to South Africa government will reject you and say, why did you bring this person back? They will find that airline. You don't bring an alien to our country. We don't know this person. So when they establish that you're a resident of South Africa and at the same time you're a citizen of Nigeria, they will ask you, where do you want to go? Nigeria or South Africa? Then you say, take me back to South Africa. Then they will deport you back to South Africa. And when you go to South Africa, if they hand you over to the authority, then they will not prosecute you for being in possession of fake South African passport. That's a different crime on its own. But if they check and you don't have any link with South Africa, the only link you had with South Africa is because you traveled from there to Israel. But you don't have like a residency permit, you don't have a temporary residency permit, and then you're a Nigerian citizen, they will never take you back to South Africa. Even if you want, they can't. Because you have no business going back to South Africa. They will take you now straight to the zoo called Nigeria, because that is your country of origin, as long as they can establish that. Do you understand how it works? Even if South African authority comes and say, no, give him back to us. He traveled from our country. We want to take him back to South Africa because he committed a crime. He used our passport, blah, blah. They will never hand you over to South African government. Never. It is not done. The only way they can hand you over to South African government is when they have established that you live in South Africa, that you have a permit that authorizes you to live in South Africa. If you don't have it, even though you use South African passport, a fake passport, to come to their country, they will not hand you over to South African government. They will have to take you back to the zoo. That is what international law demands. Do you understand? I hope I am making sense this morning. Because I'm trying to open our eyes because my people perish due to lack of knowledge. That is why the zoo can come out and begin to say all this nonsense. Look at Malami, Fulani Nachunama, will come and begin to tell you, we arrested Nnamdi Kanu. And people will even open their ears and listen to a Fulani Katorera who does not know the law, who does not even know how international law functions. We here in IPOB, we know too much. Don't underestimate us. Our leaders say that anyị gụkọtara akwụkwọ na library. Nwa bekee were ike gbachikuda anya ụzọ lawa pụtakwa n'ụtụtụ gbaghe library. I can nọkwa dị na-agụ akwụkwọ. And that is just the blessing of God upon our lives as Biafrans. All right, let me finish up this because my time is going. But then, if this is what we learned today, I promise you, I think we might have learned a lot. Knowledge is important. Since I'm in the legal department, it is good for me to share my knowledge. You that is in your own department, maybe you're an engineer. Now and then, share your experience and your, understanding with us. And you that is a doctor, sometimes it's good for you to share. We share knowledge among us because we are family. And me sharing my knowledge of the legal part is not because I know too much or I'm the best lawyer. Come on, I don't even know. I really haven't gotten into law things that much. But with the little I know, with my chicken change, I am sharing the wisdom. All right, let me finish. And then, of course, we will go to the next thing. I know our time is flying, but this is very, very important. There is no deportation order by any Kenyan court or other authority that made him subject to deportation. But if there was, the country of his deportation should have been Britain, on which passport he was traveling. Deporting him to Nigeria just because he was born in Nigeria. Are you listening? Deporting him to Nigeria just because he was born in Nigeria, but not traveling on her passport is unlawful under international law. Do you understand that? If I come at the airport and say, I am a Nigerian citizen, and I don't have a passport to prove it, you cannot call me a Nigerian. I don't know if you're listening. I said, no, I'm a Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria. No. You cannot call me a Nigerian. The international law said, no, he must provide a passport. He must show you that passport of Nigeria. Then you can call him a Nigerian. Even if Nigerian ambassador, Nigerian president come and say, this is our citizen. I know his mother. I know his father. It is not enough. There has to be a passport. That's what international law says. And that is what our attorney is trying to let the British High Commissioner knows here, even though they know already. So deporting him to Nigeria just because he was born in Nigeria but not traveling on her passport is unlawful under international law. Number 5 point he made to the High Commissioner goes on like this. The enterprise upon which Mr. Kanu is engaged, which is seeking the restoration of the defunct state of Biafra. All right, let me elaborate. When he said the enterprise, before some people say, hey, our business can happen. No, let me explain to you. For us to operate as IPOB, we need to be registered. I don't know if you understand. If we don't get registered, it will become an illegal movement. We need to be registered. And once you register the organization, of course, it becomes an enterprise. It becomes a legal personality. So IPOB is an enterprise because it was registered under British law. All right, the enterprise upon which Mr. Kanu is engaged, which is seeking the restoration of the defunct state of Biafra through a referendum, is a protected political opinion, self-determination under human rights, under international law, under United Nations laws, and also under British and Nigerian laws, where it is enacted at CAPA 9, Article 20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. So what we are doing is not illegal. What we are doing, we have more. Number 6 says, in our view, the manner of his interception and forcible deportation to Nigeria is extra legal and does not comport with the pertinent international laws and treaties to which Nigeria is subjected. Nigeria is, what do I call it? A stakeholder under Geneva law, you know. They signed all those treaties, you know, international treaties, and yet they go ahead and flaunt it and come back home and lie to their mumu citizens. You know, Nigerian citizens are mumu. They believe everything. Oh, they have arrested Nnamdi Kanu, they've arrested. But they won't sit down for 1 second and ask themselves, but wait a minute, how did you arrest him in Kenya? Are you actually allowed to do so? Which laws allow you to do that? Is he not a British citizen? When you arrested him, what passport was he carrying? If he was carrying a British passport, so who gave you the right to arrest a British citizen in a different country and bring him to the zoo? That is the highest crime of them all. A highest crime and an insult to Britain. That somebody can abduct their own citizen in a different country, not in Britain, but in a different country, and bring the person back. Don't you know that Britain is obliged by international laws, conventions, and treaties to make sure that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released with immediate effect? Then if you want him, come talk to us. Let's talk about his extradition and see if it can hold or not. You don't abduct our citizen outside the borders of Britain. Britain is a great Britain. Nobody does that to Britain and walk away free. So let's see how a Fulani Katorera will abduct a British citizen and walk away while Britain watch. No matter how much money you are giving to Britain or how much oil well you are giving to Britain, international law demands that Britain act and act now. Now, let me say something quickly before I finish. I'm almost finishing. There is a British citizen. This is interesting. You will like this. He's a British citizen. He came to South Africa. I can't remember exact year this happened, but I was here and I know when it happened. I followed the case. It is now part of our case law here in South Africa, a part of our case study. We quote it in court, and then of course it forms part of, the case laws. His name is called Ani Diwani. He's an Indian origin, Asian origin, but he's a British citizen. He lives in the UK. His name is Ani Diwani. He came to South Africa. All right, please forgive me, a call coming in, but it is not yet time for us to take calls, so I might have to get rid of this. I need to tell you the story that I'm telling you now. It is a very, very important story so that you can understand what we are saying and what we are talking about, that it is not fake. It is indeed real. Please give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second, please. I just have to get rid of this. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right. I think we are good to go right now. So, his name is Annie Diwani. His name is Annie Diwani. He came to South Africa from the UK, and then he met this lovely South African woman. I beg your pardon. The name of the woman he met is Annie Diwani, not the other way around. But this guy, I'm going to get his name and I will give you to you, even the case file and everything. So he came to South Africa, he met Annie Diwani, and he proposed to Annie Diwani that he wants to marry her. And then they got married. And then while they were on their honeymoon, this lady was assassinated. So investigation started. And then during the investigation, of course, that guy has already left South Africa back to the UK. He have already left South Africa back to the UK. So many people were arrested. And the people who killed the lady now said they were asked to kill the lady by this guy from the UK, the same Indian guy from UK. And you know what South African government did? They begin the extradition order. They write to the Britain and say, listen, your citizen came to our country, he committed this crime, and we want him back to face trial. This happened a couple of years back. And then Britain took this guy, their citizen, to court, because Britain is obliged by international law at the virtue of the treaty they have with South African government to oblige, but it has to go through court trial. It has to go through extradition, court process. So when they took this guy to court and then to see, is the court in South Africa conducive for our citizen? Is the laws of South Africa of a good quality that our citizen will have a fair trial if he gets extradited to South Africa to face trial? Are there death penalties in South Africa? Are there killings and all those things, in terms of how South African law enforcement, manage things and whatever? These are the things that they looked at in court. And after the hearing, it was agreed that this guy should be extradited to South Africa to go and face his trial. Because South African laws are one of the best in the whole world. I can give it to them. So they brought him to South Africa. And after the trial, listen to this. And after the trial, he won the case. He was found not guilty. There were not enough evidence. And he went back to Britain. Do you see how it is done? Do you see how things are done in a civilized country, in a civilized manner, and in a civilized way? All right, let's continue. On the basis of the foregoing, we hereby make the following prayers: that Mr. Kanu be granted every possible consular assistance to which he is entitled as a British citizen. That Mr. Kanu be categorized as a high-profile political prisoner or a prisoner of conscience and be thus rendered the highest diplomatic protection under municipal and international laws. 3. That the Nigerian authorities be prevailed upon to immediately allow access to Mr. Kanu by his lawyers, doctors, and family members. 4. That the Nigerian authorities be prevailed upon to immediately avail Mr. Kanu the opportunity of being taken to any hospital of his choice for medical examination. 5. That the British authorities file a diplomatic note or other legal process with Nigeria Federal High Court and the Office of the Attorney General of Nigeria indicating her sovereign interest in Mr. Kanu's matter. 6. That the British authority declare that Mr. Kanu is not a criminal, but a person who possesses a political opinion the Nigerian authorities are seeking to suppress by means of punishment of some sort. That the British authorities urgently demand the unconditional release of Mr. Kanu from detention. While we await your urgent and most favorable considerations of our prayers, please be assured of our highest esteem for your excellency, the High Commission, and the British government. Sincerely signed, Adalbert Legal Services, Aloy Ejimako, Esquire. My goodness me. I love legal minds. I love legal notes. So this is it. And there you have it. And that was the letter written to Catriona Lai, British High Commissioner to Nigeria, based in Abuja, by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu attorneys and solicitors. Of course, signed by Aloy Ejimako. You all know him. So, this shows you that we are doing something. Are we not? Now you know that we are doing something. So what we are doing is moving, is making sense. All right, let's see. Now, after this letter, which was written on the 30th, things begin to happen. They begin to panic. Kenya immediately ran off. Kenya government, they saw that Nsobu Dekwa. Kenya government saw that Nsobu Meregeni, Nsobu Dekwa. They saw that there is trouble, there is fire on the mountain, and they came out, Kenyan government, today and said, I don't know if they said it today, but according to the article I have here, which is of today, Kenya denies involvement in arrest, deportation of Nigerian separatist leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I can't hear anything. Now you see. Kenya denies involvement in arrest, deportation of Nigerian separatist leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Don't you know that what they did is a crime and is punishable by the International Court, ICC? What they committed is an international crime, which is punishable by ICC. Now they are trying to run away from it. And Kenya denies involvement in arrests. The truth shall come out, and it's already coming out, and we shall know. The Kenyan government has dismissed claims that it facilitated the arrest and deportation of Nigerian separatist leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Nigerian authorities had indicated they seized the activists in London. Look at how these people, they lie. They even told us it happened in London. Nigerian authorities has indicated they seized the activist in London before extraditing him to Nigeria. Extraditing. Do they understand the meaning of the word extraditing? How do you seize and extradite? These guys are stupid. Who are they talking to? Of course, Nigerians are fools. They will believe it anyway, so why wouldn't they talk to them? Why wouldn't they lie? They've been lying to them, Lai Mohammed and the rest, and they are getting away with it. Fulani na chunama na atorona day and night, and you are swallowing it. So I don't blame them. They can continue because I don't know. That's why Buhari called them lazy youths, and that is exactly what they are. They take their laptop and they sit on the laptop from morning till night. Yahoo na chomugu. Mugu because you don't have sense. Come this morning. This is Radio Biafra. All right, we must continue. But Kanu's families and the coalition of Igbo British lawyers issued separate statements claiming Kenyan authorities were actively involved in his arrest and deportation, further condemning what they termed as an unlawful act. The Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's family has learned that he was unlawfully arrested in Kenya, detained, and subsequently subjected to extraordinary rendition from Kenya to Nigeria, where he is now detained. Kanu's brother Kinsley said on behalf of the family, the Kenyan government has, however, dismissed the claim, saying it could not ascertain whether the act took place in Kenya or not. Can you believe these people? Ijoku. Of course, when the time comes, the truth always comes out. And then I had this British lawmaker who came out and said, that no, we don't know anything about this. We have no clue. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has never entered. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I'm talking about the British lawmaker. He came out and said, no. For now, we don't know anything about this story. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was never, ever arrested on British soil. Now, this is a British lawmaker telling us. So who are you going to believe? The zoo, the lying zoo, the lying Mohammed, or a British lawmaker who is telling you that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was never arrested or abducted on their soil? Of course, I will believe, this British lawmaker. All right, I'm looking for that audio if I can find it, where this British lawmaker said that. Let's see if it's, let me see if we can play it so that you can hear from the horse's mouth, because he was being questioned and interviewed. Do you know about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being arrested? Was he arrested in Britain? You know, let's see what he has to say. I just hope this is going to play, but let's listen.
So I'm the head of communications at the British High Commission to Nigeria, and my name is Dean Harlock. Yeah, absolutely. We have been responding to inquiries on this, confirming that we're aware of the reports of Nnamdi Kanu's arrest and detention in Nigeria by the federal government, and we can confirm that he was not arrested in the UK for extradition purposes.
Okay. Are you aware of...
Did you hear that? We can confirm he was not arrested in the UK. And the zoo is telling you he was seized, arrested, and extradited to the zoo. Do these people understand English? You know, as legal people, we are mindful of English because English can put you in trouble sometimes. In the case of, I think the public prosecutor here in South Africa took the president to court. And then she used two words, you know, in her charges against the president, because she said that the president lied to the parliament. He actually deceived parliament, and she used these two words. Do you know what's in after those two English words? When the thing went to Constitutional Court, the Constitutional Court said you cannot use those two words at the same time. Therefore, we don't find the president guilty. So the zoo, Fulani Nana Asubeke, we seize him, we extradite him. Fulani, you don't know what is extradition. You don't even know how it works or how it operates. You don't even know the meaning of seizing. How do you seize somebody? Arrest and seizing is not the same thing. Arrest is lawful. Seizing is unlawful. Chai, just like our leader would say, Fulani Alabi. All right, let's start again, please. Listen.
Place he was arrested at?
Am I aware of what, sorry?
Of where he was arrested at?
No, not at all. Okay. All we know for certain, for 100% certainty, was that he was not arrested in the UK. And
did you hear that? We are 100% sure. We are 100%. I mean, when a white man say to you 100, I know white men do lie too. I know white men do steal. I know white men can also take bribe. But when they do it, they don't come on a social media. They don't come on a media level to do what? Say things they have done. If they have committed any crime, they will not come and say, I did not do it. They can say it behind the scene, but you can never quote them to say he said so. But when a white person comes out and mounts the world media and say to you, when the whole world is listening, I am 100% sure, my brother, take him. Take his word for it. If you take it to the bank, it won't bounce. I'm telling you. Man, when a white man says that, and he knows he's being recorded, in an interview, he said to you, 100% sure. And this is a parliamentary, this is a lawmaker. Come on, man. Are you going to believe a zoo catorera? People who drink lies in the name of takia. I've taught you about takia here and what takia means. They are still using takia on you, and you are still buying it for a fool that some of us are. They told you, no, we arrested him in the UK. That is takia. To him, he did not say anything wrong. To him, he did not lie. He is trying to deceive the unbelievers. Let's continue.
We were not involved in the extradition to Nigeria. And the federal government will need to answer that inquiry. And I think they've been very deliberately clear on not mentioning what nation state they were able to work with to get him into Nigeria. So we're in the same position as you, I'm afraid. We just don't know.
Okay. Another question. Nnamdi Kanu is a British citizen. He holds a UK passport. Are you reaching out to the Nigerian government on his account?
I mean, our position on this particular point is essentially, all British nationals or all people with affirmed British nationality status are at liberty to seek support in a foreign country from the British government where they feel they might require it. And at this moment in time, that offer stands for everybody. We're not discriminating at all. At this current moment in time, I'm not aware such inquiry has been made to the UK. But if it were to, then we would respond to it as we would.
All right, listen to this. They ask him, Nnamdi Kanu is a British citizen. What is the UK going to do about it? Do you know what he said cleverly? He knows they must do something. He says that if any British citizen, falls into such a situation, all he has to do is to do what? Request for British assistance. Then they will respond, and then respond accordingly based on, the merit of the case or the matter. And this is the letter I've just read out for you. That is our leader doing what now? Requesting in paper, in black and white, in print. Listen, my country, I'm being abducted by this country. What are you saying? So he has made that request, and we just have to wait to see how it's all going down. Let's continue.
Respond to any British national needing assistance from the British government if they were overseas.
Okay, in this instance, the case is in court, the story is everywhere, and probably maybe if he's in court, he may not be at liberty to reach out and ask for help. Wouldn't the British High Commission or the government reach out to the Nigerian government and say, we've got our citizen, what about his fundamental rights? And I don't know, is there no way that can happen?
I think under the circumstances, we would deal with this just like we would deal with a UK citizen who's gone to Spain and has got into some difficulties and needs assistance from the British government, or a UK citizen has gone to the US, or a UK citizen has gone to wherever they are on the planet, effectively, that they are in the UK. And we would expect to find ourselves receiving a request for assistance, and we would assume at this moment in time that if no request for assistance was received, then none was thought to be required. So we wouldn't necessarily make direct engagements with the host country of in a particular circumstance, simply because we'd expect to hear from that national and understand if they wanted our assistance or not.
All right. So, based on what this man is saying, they are waiting to hear from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and they have heard from him. So, the next thing is now, what is the British government going to do about it? They need to understand the world is watching, and we don't stop here. We will go to the highest court in the world, because this is an international matter. Like in law, there are things you call constitutional matter. You don't take it to magistrate court. You don't go to regional court. You go to the constitutional court, which is the highest court in the land, because it is a constitutional matter. Because if you take a small case and go to constitutional court, they will send you back. They will say, no, you are overstepping. You need to go to the lowest court and start from there. Then you can escalate. And you need to show proof that there is a merit of constitutionality in your matter in order for us to hear it. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu case is an international matter. It is not a zoo matter. For those of you fools who are jumping up like headless chicken, this case is more than what you think. That drama, that movie, action movie they played in Kenya, it is what is going to kill them. The zoo makes mistakes. They always do. They always do. And their mistakes always works in our favor. Under technicality, this case shouldn't have been heard at all. And it shouldn't be heard in any court because of the human rights violation that is associated with this, because of international law violation that has been associated with this case. The state of the zoo called Nigeria has no prima facie case against our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. All right. One of our brother wrote something here, and I agree wholeheartedly with it. He said to me, the same thing you said happened here in South Africa. Nigerian government and Henry Oka. I don't know if you still remember Henry Oka. Fine. Oka was tried and jailed here in South Africa. Do you know that? Of course you know that. And that was during the time of Goodluck Jonathan, if I am not mistaken. Oka was jailed here. Do you know why Oka was tried and jailed here? Because during his extradition case, Oka, I don't know if he has a South African citizenship or South African passport or South African resident permit. But the bottom line is this. I think the Nigerian government made a case for his extradition. But when they realized of the human rights violations in the zoo called Nigeria, I think his lawyer probably might have made an argument that it is better for Oka to go through court here in South Africa instead of the zoo. Because if he go through the zoo, they might find him guilty and they might even put a death penalty on him and they might even kill him. Thank you, Joseph Udeji, for reminding me that. All right. Let me see this one again. This one, and then of course I will see if I can take a 1 or 2 call, because today is a bit choked up. But I believe what we are doing now is more important. Very, very important. All right. Nigeria refuses to disclose details of separatist leaders' rearrest. They said they rearrested him. Where? They don't want to say. Because these people are so fool. They are fools, and it's not funny. It's not funny at all. They rearrested him. Where? They don't want to say. Because they are liars. Of course, they said London, UK, like I just earlier indicated. But they did not give details. Because when you are lying, you don't give details of your lies. You just say the lie, and that is it. So, if you heard this British lawmaker, what he said that the Nigerian government, we are clever when they were actually talking about his arrest, because they never said who assisted them. They never mentioned that, and they were hiding it. That is how stupid they are. And this whole scene of the zoo called Nigeria is going to come up to haunt them. All right, my name is Mazi Nnamdi. I have done my bit for this morning, of course. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I return, I will open our lines and give a couple of calls a chance so that we can interact, and then we must continue. Of course, one thing I want you to know this morning is the fact that we are making gains. That's right. We are making gains, and we are working. That's why I say IPOB is still intact. There are structures in place. DOS is working. Our HOD is working. Our lawyers, they are working. IPOB members, we are working. If you think we are not working, then I don't know in which planet you are living. All right, let's take a quick break, and then of course we will come back and take your calls. They found him in possession of Nigerian passport.
Imam be para na kabari. one more. Okay, they are gonna delay. Yeah, you never be a more. I say none of you have done up. Who was on Gabia Kamara watching? Odogu. What's up, Tata Nelogu? I'm in a man of Damana. Hey, Iani never want to be a more. Onyani Naturana, both them more. Iani never be a more. Onyani Naturana, both them more. Ebukana, Bukanu, Begud more. Onyana Gulegu, both them more. Iani never be a more. Onyani Naturana, both them 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 more. Hey, hey, you back. Yes, sir. Odogwa kataka, okwati body marabobo, okwati bebu majumba, woke tete. Okwati chirama wababe, ichirama wababe. Aka nobuye beri nobu, uku zamuriye beri zobube. Amu noriye beri no, ogerela bije mige. Ogerela bija bige, ogerela bija bige, oke mo. Ina deba sise jeneje, ina miya sise meyeme, iyani neme kwano biye mo, onyani natura de oke mo. Iyani neme biye mo, onyani natura de oke mo. Iyani neme kwano biye mo, onyani natura de oke mo. Iyani neme onyani natura de oke mo. Odogwa natura de